YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 55 Holm versus Vera live at the Apex. Yes, back at the boring Apex in Las Vegas. Not a great card this weekend, guys, on paper. But you never know, right? We could see some fun fights. I'll be going over the main card like usual. Breaking it down. Free picks, leans, and what to avoid. If you want my personal place on all sports and this card, join the client list today. Systemsportscapping.com. You get detailed breakdowns on the plays, unit size, market, where to find it in the market. Different packages available over there, short-term, long-term, on all sports. Updated records daily over at systemsportscapping.com. Free picks over there as well. Resume and client comments. You can also find all my client comments over the years and just fewer comments over on Instagram. Head over to Instagram there, client comments, and follow me on Instagram, System Capping. Follow me on Twitter at System Capping. Tons of fun stuff over there. Weekly updates I send out over there. Sports news in general, betting news in general, and some free picks as well. UFC Vegas recap. Let's go over 54. UFC Vegas 54 recap. A 3-2 client card, all fights, no profit, but got caught with some bad luck with Rakic. I love what I saw from Rakic in that fight. I thought he won both rounds. I thought he had the wrestling advantage, which I was worried about, which I thought Jan may have a slight edge there. But Rakic is a stronger guy. Striking looked crisp. And he was going to pour it on each round, right? It's the first, second round. I expected him to, even when you hear him in his interviews this week, his plan was to go win 1 and 2 and then pour it on in 3-4. Now, we got to remember, guys, he cut his eye. He cut Jan's eye in that fight. And if you watch Jan's interviews this week, he said he couldn't see in one eye. So if that fight didn't go all 5 rounds and, Rakic didn't win the fight, if he hurt his knee, right? It's an unfortunate, this happens maybe 2 or 3 times a year. You're going to get caught with an unexpected injury, right? This is a non-contact injury. He just turned on and hurt his knee. Apparently he hurt it in training camp. About 3 weeks ago. So you'll see eye pokes. Eye pokes are a big thing. They'll stop fights, and you may be on that side, you may be on the other side. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I did have Rakic in a 2-fight parlay with Chukagian and who is Chukagian fighting? Ribas. Close fight there, but I had it over 2.5. That was the parlay I liked. I was on Chukagian as well. By decision. You only bet her by decision. Don't lay the minus with her. You bet her by decision. You get the plus money. Close fight. I agree it could have went either way, but Chukagian did enough on the feet to win the fight. Use her reach like she usually does. And we also had a nice play with Grant. However, it was a 2 mixed parlay in the NBA. We did lose the NBA game, but Grant, I love watching Grant. Grant's awesome. Grant's awesome to watch. One of my favorite fighters. He's always in a good fight. Another good fight there. And in his previous fights with Giannis and Cheeto. Great fights too. So he looked great there. Too bad with the Rakic. Loss there. Self-injury. I think he was going to win that fight and get a title shot. He went from an ACL injury rehab for 6 months. And if he didn't get hurt in that fight, he would have won the fight, in my opinion, and he would have got a title shot. So he went from a rehab to ACL instead of a title shot with Glover or Yuri. Well, that's wild. Feel for the guy, because I do think he's solid. Very tough guy to beat, even though he may not be as pretty as some guys like. He's just tough to beat, Rakic. Very big, strong, was in great shape for that fight, and his striking looked crisp. Weekly update. Let's get into the weekly update, guys. Bear with me. $97.52, very long term, guys. This is long term, and it's 65% long term. $97.52. Shorter term, which is not even too short anymore, 41-16 all fights, 72%, guys, 72%, 41-16 run. I like it. I love it. Plus 51.5 units, just a small loss last week. MLB starting really well now. It'll be 17-6. First losing MLB week of the season last week. Thanks to the Jays. Thanks to the Jays bats going cold. Plus 7 units in the MLB market. Good start there. NBA, we all know 66% regular season. Great regular season, over 15 units. Playoffs, up and down. No profit as of yet. 10-10 in the playoffs right now. NHL, 66% regular season. 6-2 playoffs. And a 33-12 run. That's all games. PGA, tough week last week. One of my worst weeks in a while. Due to Zalatoris and Burns missing the cut. You know, it's very surprising how bad they played in such an easy course. Zalatoris' putter went cold, which we have seen from time to time, but he was playing great coming into this tournament. Tough loss there. 65% best bets long term. Over 67 units in the prop market. Big card for the PGA. NFL reminder. Always like to do the NFL reminder for you guys. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Guys, comment, like, and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Especially the comments. If you guys comment, it does help me out a ton. That's the least I ask for you guys just to view the video. Just comment and like. It's much appreciated. It keeps me wanting to do this for sure. Let's get into this main card, guys. Main card, not the best card. A couple sneaky good fights maybe on this main card, on the card overall, but I'm not going to be heavily invested into this card, but we will find some spots like I usually do for the clients. Shop around, guys. Shop around for best price. This is not the best price in the market. Holm minus 230. Yes, she's back versus Vera plus 190. Sure, Holly Holm's 40, but she doesn't look like it. She's in great shape. She's been on one of the better runs she's been in for a while. It's an interesting main event here. You know, Holm's back after a little bit of a rest. You know, sometimes say it's good, sometimes say it's not for an older fighter. Maybe it's good. Year and a half off. Coming off a nice win versus Aldana, if you remember that. Her boxing looks so good in that one, and her movement. And Aldana was coming in as a great boxer, but Holm just picked her apart and looked very good in that fight. Vera got this fight due to that win over Miesha Tate, if you remember that. I remember I was on Tate on that for a small play. Vera's 2-2 in her last 2 fights, though. And you know, this will be her toughest test yet against this former champ in Holm. Even though she is still 40, the fight is simple. The fight's simple in my opinion. Holm is the better striker, better boxer, better movement in this fight, and the faster fighter. So I personally think, you know, obviously, if she can keep this on the feet, Holm wins this fight. I think just by picking her apart, similar to the Aldana fight. 5 rounds favors Holmes, even though she is 40. My opinion, she's always in excellent shape. Cardio's never an issue with Holm. With Vera, maybe in the later rounds it could be. She's more of a slower fighter, bigger style fighter. Only path in my eyes for Vera to win this fight would be make it ugly, trying to wrestle, get this fight to the ground, try to fight against the cage. We've seen her do it before. She does have the capability of winning this fight. Don't get me wrong. Just also, you know, Holm, we haven't seen her for the year and a half, right? She had some injury issues, I recall. She couldn't fight. So, yes, there is some chance that Vera could win this fight. She's going to have the fight of her life, though, and she's going to have to be able to get this fight to the ground and make it ugly. That's the way she could win this fight. I think Holm's just very experienced, and it's just going to have the advantage on the feet, where, you know, her takedown defense is solid. It's not like Vera's some solid wrestler, and she's known to just taking girls down and ground and pounding her. No, she has the capability of doing it. She's a strong girl. But I think Holm's going to be aware of that. She's going to have the game plan going in there. I do think she gets it done here. Now, minus 230 in a women's MMA fight, I avoid that. It won't even make a 2-fight parlay. I don't think so. As of right now, it's not going to. But Holm should win this fight, and she should win it by decision. right? She should win it by decision. Last time she finished a girl was in 2017 against Bethy Pereira. I don't even know who that is. I don't recall. I would have to look back at that. So she doesn't finish fights. It's usually decision wins by picking her apart, movement, and looking better on the feet than the other girl. You know, if you're looking at a better price, look at the outcome by decision on Holm. And the over and rounds is worth a look as well. Prices are steep, though. So you may want to avoid that unless you can get a good price on the over and rounds. Ponzinibbio, plus 105 versus Pereira. Michelle Pereira is back, minus 125. This fight, you know, I'm probably the most excited about this fight. This is a good one, guys. If you look at the stack card here, everything is super close. And that's why the line is super close. Strikes landed per minute. Reach is the same. Weight pretty, and also this are very similar. You know, the fighting style is some. I wouldn't be surprised if it closes at minus 110 on each side. This is coming off that Neal split decision loss. I did think Neal won that fight. It was close over Baez, Ponzinibbio, but however, starting to look like he isn't that nice big prospect. After seeing some of Baez's fights, he's losing fights, guys. Losing fights. I've been caught on a couple of his fights as well. 1-2 in his last 3 fights, and Pierre is on a 4-fight win streak. So I get why Pierre is favored. I think he should be. I don't disagree that he's favored here. You know, Pierre has improved each and every fight. He's just more controlled. He isn't as wild as he used to be. And he's just using his athleticism and his size and his striking to win fights. And he hasn't been beating easy guys, right? He has wins over Chaos Williams, Nico Price, a nice one over Fallio. Even though Fallio did come on short notice, he looks like a good fighter. He's getting some nice wins as of late. And Amadev as well. So he has some good wins in there. You know, I lean Pereira in this fight. It's probably not going to make my card just because it's probably the best fight Pereira's ever fought. Best fighter he's ever fought. Toughest competitor he's ever fought. President Ponzi just doesn't give up. He just doesn't give up. He keeps coming forward. It's going to be a super close fight. I lean Pereira. If he comes in smart and doesn't, you know, dance around and do these flips, this and that, it's been better as of late. We haven't seen that as much as of late. But yeah, you can say this fight's a coin toss. I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight. I can't wait to see it. Is it going to get my money? Probably not. If it did, it would be the Michelle Pereira side, minus 125. Maybe you're going to get a better price. Maybe wait on it. Maybe get a minus 120, maybe 115. I don't think so. Pereira money may come in, you know, after people are betting him. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, age too, right? Younger fighter in Pereira. Ponzi's been in a lot of wars. He's been there as well. Just doesn't look the same after that injury and coming back. But he has fought some good fights as well. It's just a toss-up in my opinion. But I lean Pereira and the over 2.5 rounds here. Maybe a look on the round betting. Nujokani, I don't even know how to pronounce that, to be honest. Minus 230 versus Todorovich, plus 190. But I do know the fighter well. The last fight we talked about the stack card being similar. This is different. This one is different. It's a big difference. And Nujokani mainly is the reach. The reach advantage here is 6 inches. And that's how he fights. He uses his reach, his Muay Thai. He uses that jab, and he uses his kicks. And he does have some KO power, which we saw in his first fight. He KO'd Andre Barrio in 16 seconds. Very nice KO. He won that Dana White Contender Series as well. 3 wins in a row for him. Only one in the UFC, though, the debut I just mentioned. Very solid striker. Uses the reach well. And he has the advantage on the feet against Dusko, in my opinion. Dusko is up and down in the UFC, right? 2-2 in the UFC. We saw him struggle, get TKO'd versus Serrano. Decision loss to Robocop. And is coming off a win versus Patolo. More of a lower level guy. But he's always willing to bang in there. You know, my path here for Todorovich to win this fight is get this fight to the ground. He has skills on the ground. He has grappling. And he has a size advantage on him, at least width-wise. He has some advantages there on the ground in the wrestling, in my opinion. Can he get it there is the question, or will he just decide to try to bang? Right, banging with him won't be the smart advantage, right? Nujokani's advantage is on the feet. He is going to be able to outstrike you, and he could knock you out as well. So if Todorovich is smart, he tries to wrestle, he tries to grapple, he tries to get this against the cage, you got to get to the ground. That's where he's going to win this fight. Is he, though, right? Is he going to be able to? Because plus 190 is fairly juicy. Minus 230, I can never lay that on him. Not proven enough to lay that. Yes, he does have a lot of fights, but not a ton in the UFC, right? So you have to look at that, right? Laying minus 230 with somewhat of an unknown guy here. And, Todorovich, he's came back with a nice win. Still 11-2, nice record. But we have shown that he gets wild at times and decides to strike and stand and bang. If you're going to stand and bang, that's not a good idea in this fight. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens in this fight. I lean Nujokani to get the win here. But I don't like the price. So when I don't like a price, I just don't bet it. I just don't bet it unless I find a 2-fight parlay, and this is not living up for a 2-fight parlay for me. So this fight will not be on my cards. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends before the judges, guys. Both guys hit hard. So that could be a look here if you can get a good price. The fight not to go the distance may be a good look, or under 2.5 rounds. Vienna plus 110 versus Richie minus 130. This is a classic mid to low tier women's MMA fight, which I usually don't get involved in. I won't be getting involved in here. Richie's path would be obviously with the takedowns. You look at the stats here, over 3 years. So if she could just wrestle, get this fight to the ground, she should win this fight. I think she's also the better striker as well. Vienna is more, she can find submissions, arm bars. So, yes, Richie's going to have to be careful. However, they're both black belts. They both have black belt level jiu-jitsu on the ground. So I'm not too worried about that. Richie does have the advantage with the wrestling, though. Lean her on the feet. I think it's fairly similar. The Vivian doesn't have that reach advantage, as you can see here. She could use a jab, but... yeah, I'm not going to be involved in this fight. This is a fight where I say pass, guys. I always say avoid a fight usually on the main card. This is a fight I would avoid. Lean Richie for the video, but I'm not going to be involved in this fight. I suggest you don't as well. Fight that's opening up the main card as of right now. Things always change. Anders plus 175 versus Park minus 210. If I had to bet this fight, I would have to go with the dog money and Anders. Worth a shot. Small unit, right? I love the confidence of Anders this week. Watch a few interviews from him. He's impressed me. Park has shown to be reckless at times. Anders does have some power. In his hands. Not really good at anything, but he's just very athletic. Very athletic guy. He's going to have the athleticism over Park. Park, he's fairly well-rounded. Can I bet Park at minus 210? No, I definitely cannot. He's coming off a loss, Park, as well. Anders just up and down. You never know where you're going to get from the guy. He's fought a tough Munoz. He got caught in an armbar. His ground game was totally different there. I don't see a big difference here. I don't think Park can really wrestle Anders to the ground. I don't really see that happening. If this stays on the feet, it's a toss-up. So I just don't get the minus 210 with Park. I understand Anders' inconsistency, and he's not really good anywhere. He's fairly decent, well-rounded everywhere. So, the plus 175 is worth a shot if you're going to bet this fight. Is it going to make my card? Probably not. If it did, it would have to be the value at plus 175 with Anders. That will do it, guys. That will do it for this card. Not a great card. It's a Apex fight night, where we don't expect great fights. We do have a couple of fights on this card that does have the possibility to be good ones. Enjoy the PGA Championship Major if you guys are watching it. Enjoy this card. Obviously, all the playoffs. It's hot in NHL and NBA right now in the playoffs. So it's a great time to be alive if you're a sports fan. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.